Forit Credit Union is here to help you build, grow, and dream bigger. Whether you're looking for rewards checking, tools to boost your credit, or just a team that's got your back on your next big move, Forit is with you every step of the way because they believe your dreams deserve a place to thrive. Go to foritcu.org, that's FORRITCU.org, and keep an eye out for a new location opening soon in Gresham's Rockwood neighborhood. Federally insured by NCUA. This episode is brought to you by Mubi, a global streaming service dedicated to elevating great cinema. Starting today, you can catch the streaming premiere of The Substance. Demi Moore delivers a career-best performance as an A-lister past her prime, transformed by a mysterious drug into a gorgeous 20-something played by Margaret Qualley. It's a deliriously entertaining and spine-tingling masterpiece, and you can start streaming The Substance and more for 30 days free at Mubi.com/CityCast. Child development experts have raised concerns over increased anxiety and depression among children who have unlimited access to smartphones, and teachers are finding it harder and harder to hold their students' attention. In response, Portland Public Schools started enforcing strict policies for cell phone-free campuses. So today on CityCast Portland, we're talking with Willamette Week arts and culture reporter Rachel Saslow. She visited one of these high schools with an active phone ban and has an inside look at how everyone is adjusting to their new reality. Also, she has a quick update to a story that she talked about on the podcast a few months ago. It's Wednesday, November 20th. I'm Claudia Meza, and this is what Portland's talking about. Tell me more about this phone ban. How many Portland Public Schools have implemented it so far? Like, what does it look like?
So really, it's just 3 schools have decided to move forward with very strict phone bans. It's Grant High School, Cleveland High School, and Beaumont Middle School. And really, that's at the initiative of the principals at those schools who have just decided enough is enough. This isn't working for students. It's not working for teachers. It's not working for staff. We're just doing a full phone ban. And the way they're doing that is these things called Yondr pouches. They're these little like neoprene locking pouches that students put their phone in at the beginning of the school day. It locks with a special magnet, and then they can't access it for the rest of the day until dismissal bell, so like 6 or 7 hours later. And then there's a special unlocking magnet where they can get their phone back out at the end of the day.
Okay, I'm looking at it right now, and it's Yondr, Yondr.
Yes. They are supposed to bring that and their phone to school with them every single day. So they walk in the front door, they put their phone in the Yondr pouch, and there is a staff person there to like make sure that the student then puts it against this little magnet thing that locks it. It's called like a docking station or something. So they swipe it and then they show the staff person like, see, it's in here and it's locked. And then they're sent on their way. And they take the Yondr pouch with their cell phone and put it in their backpack or their locker for the next 6 or 7 hours. Then at dismissal, they take it back to that same docking station thing, swipe it, then they can get their phone out and be on their way.
It just seems like an easy thing to trick. Let's just put it that way. Do you know what I mean?
You mean like bust into it?
Well, I mean like it's a specific magnet. I just feel like we sometimes underestimate the ingenuity of like children, you know?
Yes. Well, it is a specific magnet, though. I have heard from students that you can buy an unlocking magnet that will work off of Amazon.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They have already found a million workarounds. Honestly, the creativity is inspiring.
Yeah. Well, you spent some time at Grant High School, which is, you know, one of the schools that you were talking about. And also one of the schools that implemented one of the more intense phone bans we've seen so far in Portland. What was it about Grant High School where they're just like, no, we're going full nuclear on this ban?
I really think that it comes down to Principal James McGee. Principals in Portland Public Schools actually have quite a bit of leeway to make what they want of the Portland Public Schools phone rules. So I will say that all Portland Public Schools, all 81 of them, do have a phone policy in place. It's loosely called off and away. It's the expectation that students can have phones at school, but they are expected to be off and away during the school day. That was not working at Grant High School and probably all of the high schools, but my reporting focused on Grant. And Principal McGee, he tried a lot of half measures in the last few years. He saw a lot of negative consequences in the classroom and in passing periods. And I think the Yonder Pouch era is sort of the result of years of frustration and other things not working.
So it wasn't so much like there was an incident and he was like, that's it. We're going no phones.
No, imagine like 100,000 incidents. Like, I think I went to Grant High School and I interviewed a bunch of teachers, and they really painted a picture of how the last, I don't know, how many years has it been? 5 years? Definitely since the pandemic, though. So much of their job had turned into just power struggles between them and the students, trying to get the students to put their phones away, trying to get them to turn off their music that they were hiding, like their AirPods under their hair all day long, trying to get them to stop making TikTok videos of them teaching their lessons all day. I mean, it really does sound like a nightmare. I'm sure there were many classes that went well. Students are learning. It's not like it's actually been, a 5-year disaster due to cell phones. I don't want to overstate it, but it does seem that it was taking a very significant amount of energy from the teachers and staff to be policing phones all day long.
Well, we've heard the teacher side of the story. I want to hear the student side of the story. Like, you were also explaining how they've already figured out some very creative ways to get around it. Like, what are they saying about the ban? Are they like, oh, we get it? What's the climate like?
I would say all of the students I interviewed did acknowledge that there needed to be a change, that their phones were a problem. They were having a hard time focusing in school. I don't know if they would say it that way, but they admitted that their phones could be a distraction at times. But in general, they were pretty furious about the phone ban. And students have started a petition to try to overturn the phone ban. They have come up with a lot of workarounds to the phone ban, such as those buying a magnet on Amazon to unlock it, putting other things in the Yonder Pouch that sort of like are the right shape and size of a phone, like a calculator works. An old phone that you used to have like 2 phones ago that you found in a drawer, and just popping that thing in there and keeping your real phone in your backpack. I've heard that RX bars, the protein bars, happen to be the right size and shape to pass for an iPhone, which is hilarious and so creative. I do not support it, but
but I admire it.
But I do it. I respect it.
I respect it.
So students are very clever about it, but it's hard. I mean, some of these students who I was talking to, they are legal adults, some of them. They're 18 years old, and it's their personal property. Like, I do understand why it's a complicated issue. It starts getting really complicated when you start getting into the idea of school shootings and what the phone means to students who are potentially caught in a dangerous situation and want to reach out to their parents.
Right. I was going to ask what the parents were feeling, because I know if I had a child in school and I didn't think I could easily get a hold of them, it would be an issue for me, especially because of school shootings and just crazies,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the schools say that, it's just a return to former times. If you need to get a hold of your student now at Grant High School, you have to call the front office. In general, I'd say that is going pretty well, because parents are only reaching out to students if there's an actual, a real thing they need to talk to their student about, because parents were also part of the problem. Parents were texting their kids like, hey, did you switch the laundry over to the dryer? Or
Oh my God.
do you need anything from Trader Joe's? And that is not helpful either. But it's like we've all gotten so used to, and again, I'm going to point it back to the pandemic one more time, just because I do think we got so used to that constant contact that it was sort of a huge change for the kids to be gone for 7 hours a day and not be able to check in with them about that stuff. But when it comes to the school shootings, I also was like, how does this work in that situation? And what the teachers said was phones can also be a problem in the case of a school shooting, because if they're all ringing or binging, that can draw attention from a shooter. Also, phones can mean a very quick spread of misinformation and terrifying information that maybe is not true. So there are pros and cons to even having phones in a school shooting. It's definitely a tricky issue, but I think that the schools and a lot of the parents I talk to actually have come down on the side of, I think the benefit is worth the risk.
All right, well, let's take a quick break here. And when we come back, what all this means for the rest of the schools in the Portland Public School District.
Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
Blinds.com is kicking off the savings early with Black Friday mega deals all month long. A Blinds.com design expert can help you make the perfect selection on your schedule. We can even handle everything from measure to your whole home installed for just one low cost. With over 25 million windows covered, Blinds.com is the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings. Get up to 45% off site-wide and a free professional measure right now at Blinds.com. Rules and restrictions may apply.
You yourself are a mom of a teenager and they're about to hit high school. Like, how are you feeling about your child not having access to a phone during school hours?
I would say in general, I feel great about it.
Okay.
A lot of parents feel great about it. I went to back to school night at Grant for my reporting on this, and there were parents coming up to Principal McGee thanking him for the new phone ban.
Wow.
Because they are having similar issues with their kids, these power struggles all day. You know, parents don't send their kid to school expecting they'll be keeping up on all like the TikTok trends. Like, no, that is the time you're supposed to be actually learning. So as for my kids, we have a family rule that my oldest daughter can't take her phone with her to middle school. Today, I see that she did take her phone to school, so that will be an interesting conversation when she gets home. I know for sure
you're in trouble. Rachel's daughter. Ooh.
She's in trouble, and I already know she's going to say, I forgot it was in my pocket. See, this is exactly what I'm talking about, though.
You're just like, yeah.
You know what? Joke's on her, because we live in the Cleveland high school zone, so she's going to be at one of the Yonder Pouch schools next year.
Ooh.
Tough.
Yeah. Oh, man.
It's tough to be a Saslow kid.
Aside from winning an eternal power struggle against children, I'm wondering, are there any other positives that are coming out of all this? You know, for
I don't want this to sound like I don't.
Or, I mean, really, no, just in general. Like, what are the other positives?
Yes, so many positives, and even the students who have signed the petition have acknowledged that there have been some real positives to the cell phone ban. One of the big changes is that the lunchroom is super loud now. Apparently, for the last few years, it had been eerily quiet because the kids, I know, they were eating their lunches and kind of hunched over their phones and not necessarily interacting with their peers in what we would consider to be an age-appropriate and healthy way. Mm-hmm. So the lunchroom is super loud, which normally you would think teachers and staff would be annoyed by that, but they are all thrilled. They're so happy to see the kids just being kids and not having to navigate their phones all day, just to get a break from it. Also, some of the online bullying and drug dealing that they were seeing happening during passing periods has really slowed down a lot because the kids don't have access to their phones. And just the attention span during classes is way, way higher. Kids are working together in small groups to problem solve in a way that they haven't had to because they've had access to Google in their pocket all day long.
Yeah, the way you're painting the picture, I'm like, I wish someone would take my phone away from me.
I have, honestly, in the reporting of this story, I was like, do I need a Yondr pouch? It does seem like it would solve a few problems.
Well, we did talk about some concerns that, some parents could have. The policy in place right now, is this what people are going to continue with, or do you think anything will be amended because of, school shootings or anything like that?
I think the policy, at least at Grant, that's the school I know the most about. I think that Principal McGee sort of started out this policy with a heavy hand and then is sort of seeing how it goes and adjusting as necessary. So certain things that have already come up that he has needed to change are the locking and unlocking process in the morning was too cumbersome because it was all going through one door. And so there was a 15-minute delay for students to get to first period. So they've already had to open up more doors and try to find ways to get kids in and out of school faster. I interviewed some students who are on the Grant Magazine staff, and they have had a real hard time doing their job as student reporters to get a hold of sources or do any sort of reporting during the hours they're at school. And it was honestly a big problem in my reporting because I would reach out to students for fact checks or interviews, and I would know that they were not getting these messages until 3:30 p.m. for sure. Mm-hmm. Just little things like that is hard to think through on the front end, but the problems become pretty clear.
Yeah. Well, 3 schools so far, in PPS have some kind of ban. Do you have any sense if any others are planning to adopt the ban throughout the district? Is this something that people are just like, oh, we're going to do this? It's very popular.
I think, it's not super popular with students, but
Adults,
yeah. It sort of comes down to money. So Principal McGee funded this.
By the way, perfect name for a principal.
I know.
Find me a better name than Principal McGee. Okay, go on.
He basically funded this thing with Grant High School money. It's not like he went to the school board and said, I need some sort of communications fund. I don't know. I'm making that up. But he found the money within his own budget, kind of scrimping and saving to afford these Yondr pouches, which are about $25 each. And there's 2,200 students at Grant. So this is a pretty big line item. Yeah. Not every school has that kind of money or has been spending, a whole year trying to save up for this type of thing. And I don't think the school board is prepared to buy Yondr pouches for all 44,000 Portland Public School students. So there is a proposal moving through the school board right now to update Portland Public Schools' cell phone policy. It is not a Yondr pouch policy, though. So I don't think there's something like this coming for all 81 schools. And it's not all 81. It's really a high school issue mostly. Middle schools more and more, and elementary not so much. So.
Gotcha. I mean, that would be.
Yeah, the little guys are still okay.
Oh. Well, how does what's going on in Portland compare to what you're seeing nationally? Because I'm assuming it's not like Portland broke ground here. Like it's been happening elsewhere.
Yeah. So I would say Grant, Cleveland, and Beaumont are definitely on the cutting edge in Portland, but certainly in line with the national trend of where phone use in schools is going, for sure. There are whole states that have banned cell phones in schools already. And I do remember seeing the list and feeling kind of fascinated that it really was a mix of red and blue states. It's not like this is a liberal issue or this is a conservative issue. Right. It's like this is a Kids in America issue. So it kind of cuts through party lines, which I found very interesting.
Right. Julie, our producer, just gave me some of the state names.
What'd she say?
Florida, Indiana, Louisiana, and California.
See?
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting?
It is. Well, if you were a student Would you be one of those kids that just were glued to your phone? You know, you think, because I'm thinking about like music, and I know I was always the kid that would get like CD players, that's how old I am, taken away from like during school hours, because I would always like sneak in a CD player and listen to music.
Yeah.
So I know that would be my crutch to getting through the day. What about you? Would you be a TikTok video person or?
I mean, I'm sure it is the air they breathe. And just watching, I have 3 kids. I have a 12-year-old. Nope, that's incorrect. I have a 13-year-old, an 11-year-old, and an 8-year-old. And, you know, we've raised them in a house full of books with like a million activities. And we go hiking every weekend. And, you know, we do all these like enriching non-screen family things. And they want 2 things in life at all times. They want screens and they want candy and they want it all the time. And there's no part of me that believes that I would be above any of that. For sure. I mean, I see it with myself. It's so hard for me, you know, for this article, and just as a parent and a human, I've done like some research on phone use, mental health. I read the book, The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt this summer. You know, the evidence is clear. Like, being glued to your phone all day is not a recipe for like a super happy, well-adjusted, connected life. It has some elements that can get you there, but too much is not good for you. And even knowing all of that, the device is literally built to be basically an addictive substance, and it's hard to put it down. And I'm definitely not above any of that. And I have so much empathy for kids and the struggle of trying to put down their phone when their whole social life is on there and all they care about is, screens and candy, but also, you know, being with their friends, connecting with their friends, texting people, and will he text me back? I mean, it is everything they want. So I just get it times 100.
Yeah. Well, good thing we're out, right? Rachel, thank you so much for hanging out with me and for your reporting on the story and sharing. I know last time you were talking about the smell fines for a restaurant, and you also have a quick update on that too, don't you?
I have a late breaking update. This is something I was reporting on right before I jumped on this podcast. So the last time I was here, we were talking about my reporting on a Vietnamese restaurant called Pho Gabo, which was in the Roseway neighborhood. That restaurant shut down because one neighbor complained so persistently for 18 months that the smell of the woks and the meat cooking was so problematic that she or he could not live there. Like, it was ruining their quality of life. Mm-hmm. This restaurant owner got so many fines that he eventually had to shut down. And I just found out that Portland City Council just passed a new odor code, permanent for the city, that has new protections for restaurants so that something like this really can't happen in that same way. For them to open an odor investigation, now 5 neighbors have to complain over the course of 30 days. Those neighbors have to live within 150 feet of the restaurant. And so it will now be impossible for one neighbor to completely take out a neighborhood restaurant because they don't like the smell of the food. And that's really cool. And that was a result of the reporting and Commissioner Carmen Rubio deciding to take that on. And she really championed that and got it all the way through to the finish line. And that will be city law starting March 1st.
Nice. Shout out Commissioner Rubio.
Yes.
And shout out your reporting on it. Seriously, so many people found out about it because of you.
Thank you so much.
And we'll be linking that episode in our show notes if you want to get caught up with the drama.
Great.
That's all for today here on CityCast Portland. Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please share it with a friend, rate or leave us a review. It really does help us out. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more from around the city. Until then, see you at Slim's.